Welcome to Power of the Palate, National Virtual Cocktail Competition presented by Black Restaurant Week in partnership with Maker's Mark. Thank you to everyone for joining us for this Make Your Mark Monday Happy Hour. I'm Warren Luckett with Black Restaurant Week. 16 started and 4 remain as we move on to the final 4. Today we will watch the top 4 bartenders compete in a round that we call Family Matters. The cities include Atlanta, New York, Chicago, and Houston. We will advance the 2 best bartenders selected from our special judges panel. Those 2 bartenders will advance to the championship round of our competition for a chance to win $5,000 from Black Restaurant Week. Today's Family Matter Challenge will test the bartender's ability to make a cocktail based on a family recipe. Each contestant will have up to 5 minutes to perform a live demonstration of their cocktail. After the bartenders have built their cocktails, the judges will ask them a series of questions to see just how accurate their cocktails are in our Family Matters Challenge. Each contestant will be judged on the following: name and inspiration, creativity, palate, drink presentation, style and personality. Today's special judges include Nate Rogers, the marketing manager for Beam Centauri for Pennsylvania, Alabama, Mississippi, and Virginia. Simone Hobson, managing partner for the beautiful James Room in Atlanta, Georgia. And Larry McCorbin, owner of Oak Atlanta and managing partner of Bar Vegan, serving handcrafted cocktails and savory plant-based bites here in Atlanta. Now here's how today's competition will work. Our bartenders are joining us live on Zoom, where they will each have an opportunity to make their signature cocktail. Our judges are going to taste an exact replica of that cocktail made right here by our resident bartender, Will. After tasting the cocktail, the judges will interview the contestant, offer feedback about the recipe and presentation, and finally assign each bartender a score. So let's get started. Our first contestant, Tracy Johnson from the ATL.
Hi, my name is Tracy Johnson, coming to you all again from 12 Cocktail Bar on the roof of Pont City Market. Today I'll be presenting to you both a cocktail and a non-alcoholic cocktail because we're not making a mockery of anything. The objective of this round was essentially to create 2 recipes that were inspired by a family recipe. So I've decided to bring y'all into my mother's kitchen, and our recipe is inspired by her stewed apples. So we took her recipe and we modified it so that we can get a nice clean syrup, so you can get all the flavors that will complement both the Maker's Mark and each other. We're gonna start out with our citrus, 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lemon juice, 1 ounce of our stewed apple syrup, 1/4 ounce of vanilla liqueur, and finally 2 ounces of our Maker's Mark. Adding all of these ingredients to our shaker. So we're gonna top it off. Nice shaking here. Taking our strainer, we're gonna strain into our fluid. We're gonna top this off with 1 ounce sparkling apple cider, and 1 ounce of Prosecco. And again, the goal is always to have consistency. So that's why we went so far as to measure, expressing a lemon peel so we get that essence. Of course, we have to top it off with a pretty little garnish. And this is Slim Pickens. Cheers. Our mocktail and our cocktail they're brother and sister. They're not twins, but they're brother and sister. So we're still going to accentuate the flavors, but in different ways, different application. So for this cocktail, we're gonna do 1 ounce of lemon juice, 1 ounce of our stewed apple syrup, 1 ounce of water, 1/4 ounce of pineapple juice, pouring this into our coupe glass, and we're gonna top it off with 1.5 ounces of ginger beer. And being that this is a family affair, we can't leave anybody out, so we also have to have a pretty garnish. So we have some candied ginger here. Cheers. This is Annette's Joy.
How are you? This is Nate Rogers. I'm with Maker's Mark with the brand. Great job, first of all. Great job on the names. So the garnish for the Slim Pickens is a lemon peel, correct?
Lemon peel, yes. So this is a play on a French 75. So I wanted to make sure we had that nice fresh citrus zest at the end to enhance all the other aromatics.
So we're tasting the Slim Pickens now as we speak. That's good. Just being someone that's from the brand, I love the way how this didn't disguise the actual, tasting notes of Makers. You can taste the Makers and the vanilla syrup that you use, as well as the apple syrup, actually enhances our flavor profile. So great job. It's not, honestly, going into this cocktail, I thought it was going to be sweet, and it's not. It's surprisingly not sweet.
So my goal is always, because this is, again, a Maker's Mark competition, I can't hide the star of the show. I'm just here as a conduit.
So great job with the Slim Pickens, but we're gonna taste the non-alcoholic beverage now.
What I love about the non-alcoholic beverage is it looks the same, so I don't feel alienated. It literally presents the exact same, which is very rare. Outstanding.
Great job with both of them. I mean, I really don't have too much to say. I'm coming from 25 years of mixology background. I love the Mick Pick. I'm really anal at the bar. But this is great. Great job. I actually don't have anything. I'm ready to drink the hell out these cocktails.
No, yeah, they're really delicious.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're family now, so cousins, enjoy your cocktails. Thank you.
Thanks, cuz.
Next up is Woody St. Justice from the Big Apple.
Today, I'm going to present to you the reunion. Part of this challenge was creating a cocktail recipe, not only that was a cocktail, but a mocktail. Growing up, we were real big on family reunions, Thanksgiving, the holidays. And now that we're going into the fall, I wanted to create a cocktail not only that can be served with alcohol, featuring our Maker's Mark, but ultimately a mocktail, because I believe in inclusion in everything that we do. So right now, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the cocktail version, which is called the Reunion. And this is going to be a sangria. I love sangrias personally. My family loves sangrias. And ultimately, when people make sangrias, they usually incorporate a little bit of brandy or they spike it. I want to introduce Maker's Mark as my spirit of choice to give it that taste that we're all familiar with and we do enjoy while incorporating the fall season. Right here, I have what I call my flavor board, which are going to be the elements in this cocktail. We have a little bit of sorrel, we have a little bit of star anise, and we have our cinnamon and dehydrated fruits. So let's get started with the ingredients and we're gonna build this cocktail. And we're gonna start off with the least important ingredient. We're gonna go 0.5 of citrus. I'm using lemon juice, freshly squeezed. I have here a sorrel juice, unsweetened. Because we're gonna use a sweetener, I did not want to sweeten the sorrel. I'm using 0.5 to 1 ounce. And sorrel is usually easy to make. You pretty much boil the leaves, bring it down to a simmer with hot water, let it sit. Sometimes people like to introduce cinnamon, ginger. I just wanted to keep it raw for the simple fact that I'm gonna be building this cocktail. Next, we're going to use what I've created is a star anise infused simple syrup with cinnamon. Because sangrias are usually on the sweeter side, we're gonna go a full 2 ounces on this because I really want you to enjoy the combination of the star anise and the cinnamon. Pomegranate juice, we're gonna go an ounce on that. I love pomegranate juice. It gives a different taste, a little tart in the cranberry family, but ultimately pomegranate juice, I believe, is a great choice of beverage and mixer for a lot of cocktails. Last but not least, we're gonna go with our Maker's Mark. And of course, what is sangria without sweet red wine? We're gonna go 1 ounce on that. We're gonna add our ice. And for this reason, we are using the stirring method. I don't want to shake it because I really want these flavors to equally be combined into this cocktail. So shaking it will just water down the drink more than I'd like. So we're just gonna give it a nice stir. Get some ice in my wine glass. And we're gonna strain into the wine glass. We're gonna bring that right to the top. Measurements fell just perfectly. And we're gonna top it off with a little bit of Prosecco. Ooh, everybody loves that sound. And we're just gonna float it just to the top. Last but not least, we're gonna grab some of our key dehydrated ingredients, just for a little garnish. Some apples, an orange if you may. This is sangria, so we wanna make it fun, we wanna make it flavorful. And here you have it, the reunion. The mocktail version of this drink, we're gonna start off with our pitcher. We're gonna fill it with ice. We're gonna go 1 ounce of lemon juice. We're gonna repeat our steps with the sorrel. Again, the sorrel is unsweetened, only because we're gonna add our element, which is the infused star anise and cinnamon simple syrup. We're gonna go 1 ounce. Then we're gonna add our pomegranate juice. We're gonna go 2 ounces on that. I'm gonna grab my trusty stirrer. I'm gonna give it a stir. We're just gonna pour that in. Now, the beauty of this mocktail is that we are in the fall. And when you think of fall, you definitely cannot leave out apples. So I have incorporated a sparkling apple cider in replacement of the Prosecco. And we're just gonna garnish it, make it look pretty, and there you have it. Family matters.
Woody, this is Nate with Maker's Mark. Question for you. Going back to the reunion, the original cocktail, what was the reasoning behind first stirring the cocktail? I know you got the chill on it, but then we strained it over additional ice. What was the reason for the double use of ice? One thing with Maker's Mark, I think we really try not to bruise the actual spirit itself. I just feel like once we stirred it the first time, that should have been it right there. Either poured into a Tom Collins glass with the ice, or maybe straight into a coupe off the ice. So what was your reason behind doing it twice with ice?
Well, because this is sangria, I wanted to keep the drink, the spirit chilled to serve. So ultimately with sangrias, I always, me personally, I love a nice cold sangria. So the double ice was just to kind of preserve that chill.
You do realize it also weakens the power of the bourbon or the whiskey, because we're stirring it once, right? We're diluting the cocktail once, and then we're going to strain the cocktail again over ice and serve it. And this is a pretty big size sangria glass, and we do know sangria comes in, quote unquote goblets, so it sits there for a minute and it continues to get watered down. So just my take on it, my suggestion is that just stir the cocktail that one time and then serve it off the ice, because honestly that's chilled enough.
Right.
But other than that, it's a great tasting cocktail. And I'm gonna tell you also, the judges, when we first got this cocktail, we couldn't taste it at all. So we had to stir it up. We had to stir it around. And I just feel like if we would have strained it off the ice after the first time, we would have got the full effect of the bourbon and the sweet red and the combination of the pomegranate. I will say this, is that the cocktails do mirror each other, which is great.
I totally agree. I love how they mirror. You cannot tell which one is which. So it does scream inclusion, and family matters to me. That's why I like that name, and it tied back. I literally sitting side by side, I don't know which one is which, and I love that.
You nailed it with presentation, so kudos to you.
Thank you, Woody.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to our next contestant, everybody say hello to Nigel Van.
My name is Nigel Van, and I am representing Chicago this year in the Black Restaurant Week with Maker's Mark, and I am honored to have this position, and I'm going to treat this position that I have right now with the utmost respect and give it my best effort. So this is the third round here. But today I'm going to switch it up a little bit and talk about family traditions. I come from, I no longer say a broken family. I say I come from a blended family. So the rock in my family is definitely going to be my mom, who was a single parent for the most part. And it's what she taught me is what I take away. And I consider that to be something called tradition, if you would. I'm thinking about memories that I had with my mom. And one of those things is, even though she had 2 jobs, going to school, she had time for me. I never felt like I was alone. And one of my biggest memories is, like, in the fall, we would go on road trips. Road trips meant a lot to me because I love to travel. I love the sense of adventure. So I would get in the car and not know where we're going and go for 2 or 3 hours. And the next thing you know, we're at an apple orchard. We're at a pumpkin fest or maize farm. So this cocktail here is called Trailblazer, and it's reminded me of the stuff that I encountered when I did these trips. So what I'm gonna do is, this is like a perfect Manhattan riff. So I'm gonna start off with using a little bit of dry vermouth. I'm actually using Dolan Blanc vermouth. It's Chicago, so you might hear that a lot. We'll just wait. All right, so Dolan Blanc is really good because it has a little bit of citrus notes. It's going to stand out a little bit more than just your traditional dry notes. And so I didn't just take it out of the glass. I actually infused it with a little bit of pumpkin seeds. So I took pumpkin seeds, I roasted it with a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt, and I infused that with this Dolan Blanc. Now, it's actually very pungent to do so, so you don't want to infuse it for a long time. I'd say 6 hours would be the max. I was very happy with what I got for about 2 hours there. So we're just gonna do a ½ ounce of that. This reminds me of the trail mix that was in my mom's car that I would snack on while we were traveling down to the place that we were going to. Next up, I'm gonna use a little bit of maple syrup. I'm just gonna use a bar spoon, so that's gonna be a tad less than a ¼ ounce. This is gonna be my sweetener, but it's gonna represent the fall. Now next up, I'm going to use Pedro Jimenez sherry. I'm using LaSalle, but the Pedro Jimenez sherry is known to be the sweetest sherry that's out there. And again, the theme is going to be trail mix, so I'm thinking about the raisin notes that I get from the trail mix there. So that's what I'm pulling from the sherry. A little bit goes a long way, so we're just going to do a ½ ounce. So it's going to be the same amount as the Dolan Blanc vermouth. So this is going to give you the qualities again for like your perfect Manhattan, where it's equal parts sweet, equal parts dry, but we're not using sweet vermouth in this cocktail. Now I'm going to put a dropper of allspice in there. Again, we're going on a fall theme. And then in the past, I used Maker's Mark, but I want to mix it up. I want to use that 46. This is personally one of my favorite ones. It's newer to the brand. You know, Maker's has been around since 1953, but Phil Samuels Jr., 2010, he tried to switch it up a little bit. So we come up with Maker's 46 right here for you. Now, the difference between this is what I think it works perfectly for this cocktail than the original strength is that this is 94 proof. This is a stirred cocktail. This is very booze forward, especially from what I've created in the past. The flavors are very mellowed, a little bit more mellowed out than your traditional Maker's 46. So I think it just blends together, you know. In some whiskeys, you can like, I'm pulling this and I'm pulling this and I'm pulling this, but this is just more cohesive. It goes together and it's like, you know, it's all there, but they're all holding hands and having a good time. So because it's a booze forward cocktail, we're gonna do 1.5 ounces. This cocktail will be on ice, so I do want to keep that in mind when I'm stirring and not stir as much as I would do when I'm coming up with a Manhattan. So I'll go a little bit light. I'll do it for maybe about 5 seconds. And I'll let that sit while I'm preparing my glass. So just to be a little whimsical, I got myself a little flame. I put myself a little mace tincture here. So take like an Everclear, a very high proof neutral grain spirit. Put that in here with a little bit of nutmeg, and I'm going to use that as a tincture just to kind of prep this glass so ooh and ah the crowd that comes to my bar. Be careful, it gives it a nice aromatic there. And we're going to put this on a big cube of ice. Let's see what you can see. And we're going to pour that right over our cocktail here. So Perfect Manhattan is going to have those notes of sweet, a little bit of dry. I'm switching it up and taking that trail mix flavor that I'm getting, adding that nuttiness from that cherry, also that raisin that cherry's adding, and then a little bit of fall with the allspice and the nutmeg. And because I'm in Chicago, I want to keep it sweet and savory. Got a little bit of Garrett's popcorn, just skew it here, making it kind of whimsical, and it goes right on top. And if you did it right, the wash line is not going to touch it, so it's not going to become soggy popcorn if you eat it last. But this is my cocktail trailblazer. And it's inspired by my memories with my mom, going out to the fall, to mazes and pumpkin fest, and just having a good time, you know? Cheers.
You just totally killed that presentation. The recipe was so unique. You just blew me away. Like, I truly just want to stand up in my 5-inch heels and give you a standing ovation. Right? I'm going to do it. I have to.
There you go.
That was phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Much.
And I'm going to taste it. And from what I hear from my peers right here, it's phenomenal.
I felt like I was in front of you at the bar in Chicago. I heard the sirens.
Yeah. Oh.
And you didn't miss a beat with the sirens.
Yeah.
That could have thrown anybody off.
Sure.
We're downtown Atlanta, so we get it.
Can we talk about the Garrett's popcorn as your garnish? And it's a really great drink as well. I just tasted it. It's spot on. It's phenomenal. Whew.
Now I'm ready for the mocktail.
I know. Let's go.
All right. But this drink is named Apple Blossom Jeans. Now, I wanted to show a kind of a relationship between my first cocktail and this cocktail, so you are going to see some same ingredients. So what we're going to do, just 1.5 ounces. It seems like a lot, but what we're doing is we're just adding a lot of flavor in there. Some of them are pungent, but that sweetness from that maple syrup, a little bit of honey, is cutting that vinegar that we talked about earlier. Now next up, I have a non-alcoholic distillate, if you would, called Seedlip. This is going to give me a little bit of ginger, a little bit of nutmeg, and some spices that are going to go well with the maple, the honey, and everything else that's in this cocktail as well. So we're going to do equal parts of that. So we did 1.5 ounces of that shrub. We're going to do 1.5 ounces of this distillate. Again, this is non-alcoholic. Now, even though the calamansi is in there, that is the citrus that we talked about, I still need to brighten this up just a little bit. So I'm grabbing some fresh lemon juice, and I'm gonna do 3/4 of an ounce there. Now to keep it fall festival, we're gonna do 1 ounce of apple cider. I got it fresh pressed, you gotta get cold pressed. I haven't got it local here because gotta support my own city. This is gonna be a shaken cocktail, obviously, because we have that fresh citrus juice in here. We're gonna cut through that shrub, so we're gonna shake this for about 10 seconds. All right, let's separate that a little bit. Let's get a little bit of that cocktail from the top into the tin. This is gonna be served in a Collins glass. Out of fresh ice. And we are going to double strain this because I don't want all that pulp that's in my lemon juice in my actual cocktail. Perfect. And you're like, well, Nigel, my Collins glass isn't full all the way. I'm like, yo, calm down. It's not done yet. I'm actually gonna add a little bit of Topo Chico to that. I want this to be fun and bubbly. I'm doing this for the people who are making it at home with me. If you came to my bar, I would probably force carbonate this and serve it into a bottle. It's like, you can't do that. I'm not expecting you to buy the tools that I have. This is my job. You're doing this for fun. So just topping it off with Topo Chico would do great. Give it a little stir. Make it fun. Cut myself a little apple flag. Really easy for something like you to do at home. Just a little bit of fresh nutmeg grated right on top. It looks pretty. Smells even better. And voila, we have our Apple Blossom Jeans cocktail for you, non-alcoholic. Cheers.
I am just really impressed with what you did with our liquid, especially to upgrade your cocktail, the Trailblazer with 46. I think it was an excellent choice. And I will say this too, just to touch on a couple points. Maker's Mark, our tagline is Make It Remarkable. We also use the tagline Make Your Mark. And I like how you tied in the story, about your mother and being a trailblazer and, not wanting, not ever giving up, having 2 jobs, going to school. And that's what life is about, making your mark. And like you not only touched on the family values of it, but you also touched on our heritage at Maker's Mark. One key call out I would call, I would love to really see that fall presence on your bar. Like maybe some apples, maybe some small pumpkins, some floral arrangements, something there. Again, we love to feel like we're at your bar, but we also want to feel like you're giving us a show, which you have with your energy.
Are you kidding me? Like, I don't need to see any apples. I don't need to see any pumpkins. With your smile and your presentation, we could be in whatever season you want to be in. There we go. We're there. See? We're there. We're there. Look at that. Like, he took your feedback and went with it. Man, you are relatable. You are memorable. You are remarkable. So, cheers to you.
Cheers.
Best of luck.
Thank you. Cheers.
Our final bartender of the evening is Ed Warner from the 713.
This recipe today is something that it's sort of been a family thing for about the last 5 years or so. And I've aptly titled it Eggnog. So what I'm presenting this year is a 100% vegan eggnog for you. This is kind of a long process because you have to prepare the butternut squash. And the way I do that is I get a squash, slice it lengthwise, scoop out the seeds, score the meat of the squash. I leave the skin on. And then now what I did on my original recipe, I just went with my recipe that I've been doing. And I said brush it with butter. But for the vegan version, I brushed it with just some plain vegetable oil. And I let it bake for at least an hour and a half. Doing the Family Matters thing, I took it was just like a grandmother's recipe. It's not written down anywhere, so I'm like making it and writing it down. Then I realized it was a couple of ingredients and procedures I forgot. So what I'm gonna do, I already have the nog made, the base made, and I'm gonna put 3 ounces. It's pretty thick, it's nice and creamy. And the way I made it vegan this year is that I substitute the eggs for cashews. What I'm doing here, I'm gonna add 1.5 ounces of my nog syrup. So it's gonna not overly sweeten it, but it is gonna balance those spices and also enhance the bourbon. And so as I'm using Maker's Mark straight Kentucky bourbon, I'm gonna put 2 ounces because this is a holiday beverage. And when people are drinking in the holidays, they wanna get lit. So I'm gonna light them up. The bourbon itself, those hints of vanilla and that backwoods citrus and just the tanginess and the pepper, it just all blends with this type of cocktail. So I'm gonna get this straight. I chill the coupe glass. It would normally go into like a little punch mug, and then just single strain it into the mug. You might want to just dust it with a little cinnamon, and there you go. 100% vegan eggnog.
So how would you tie this into this round's theme of Family Matters?
My whole thing was, the next family gathering is going to be Thanksgiving. And this would be an excellent beverage to serve the same thing with my mocktail. I thought of a family gathering using family recipes. I've been making this cocktail like really past 5 or 6 years for the family. And it's just become somewhat a Warner family tradition.
So what I actually like about the aspect of that is you have that elder that has that recipe that's in their head, and it's their way, and it's sometimes what they got in the kitchen or what they got going, but that's Thanksgiving and that's family to me. I think that makes it difficult for a cocktail to serve or to recreate for somebody else. It's difficult in this competition because he's recreating based upon what you sent to him, and so I'm not so sure we have the same consistency of what you got versus what we have.
Let me ask you a question. You know, it's a good possibility that your cocktail that you're tasting doesn't taste like mine, but are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying this cocktail, and I can tell that we are not drinking the same thing, but I am enjoying this cocktail. One thing I would say that I love the fact that you substituted the eggs with the raw cashews.
Yep.
I think that was a great decision, to pair with Maker's Mark.
The cocktail is absolutely delicious. It's more on the savory side, which I can appreciate. At first, I was a bit torn because I felt like you didn't necessarily incorporate the Family Matters theme into the drink. But once you explained it, I totally could see the idiosyncrasies of your drink, right? The individuality, the individual qualms. My colleague to my right has finished the drink. It's the first drink that's been finished all night in the competition. So kudos to you. I don't think I need to say anything else after that, as the drink is gone. The drink is gone. So thank you for sharing your talents with us, and a round of applause to you.
Thank you. And now am I doing my mocktail?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, we are ready. Let's
We
go.
forgot about the mocktail, but
Oh
yeah,
gosh,
go ahead.
yeah, you pull us away with that one.
It's a cider mule. So what I'm doing, real simple, I'm going to take 3 ounces of an unfiltered cider. I had to actually play it around, and I found one that was spiced. Put it right in a shaker. And really, this could be also built in the glass. I'm going to take a lemon, like a bar spoon of lemon juice. I made a cinnamon syrup that really sets this off. And I'm going to put like a half ounce of that into the cider. Just incorporate it, strain it over ice. And then we're going to top it with Cock and Bull ginger beer, which happens to be the ginger beer that was originally used for a Moscow Mule. And then take a slice of apple, dust it with some cinnamon sugar, hit it with a kitchen torch, and give it a little brulee crust. And then top that flaming bad boy right on your drink. Add a straw and enjoy.
Ed, what's the name of your mocktail?
I don't know.
I don't know. All right, we're gonna literally name it I don't know, right? Sometimes we just don't know about our family.
Right?
Okay, Ed, so we're going to taste the mocktail now.
Delicious, Ed. It's
I almost
delicious.
get like an apricot feel to this. So one call out for me, Ed, I think the cocktail is good. I think the presentation is perfect. What I would have done with the apple slice, I would have caramelized the cinnamon sugar on the apple on top of the cocktail, because then we would get some of that smoky flavor inside the cocktail. And then when you smoke the apple on top of the cocktail, we get that barbecue smoky feel. And what do we do as family? We cook out. You know what I mean? So I would just love to get that smoky apple flavor in the cocktail
I was
itself.
thinking that way because if you notice, that I did put her on the cocktail while it was still flammable.
You're right. It makes sense. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
That's it. That's period.
I guess my critique is the drink needed a name. How we can't even sell the drink or make the drink. We don't even know what we're gonna call it.
He's tripping.
He's tripping? I don't know.
He's tripping. It's called I don't know.
What's it called?
I don't know. That's it.
Okay.
That was the perfect name for it.
IDK.
I don't know. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good, Ed. It's pretty good.
But did you make that up or did Ed make that up?
Ed made that up.
Okay.
I just branded it.
So you're working with Ed?
Mm-hmm. I'm here for Ed.
Much love, Ed. Great job, man. Thank you.
Round of applause.
Thanks,
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
It was some heated competition tonight.
It was
intense.
tough,
It
man.
was
And
great.
it's tough.
Let's start with Teresa. So I truly enjoyed her cocktail. I think that the name and inspiration, Slim Pickens, was dead on point. Creativity was great. The taste of it was phenomenal. Presentation, very cool.
I wanted more energy. I wanted more of the presence of the apples, maybe some pumpkins.
I felt like the cocktail was truly like a fall brunch situation.
Yep.
And it was a great spin on a French 75, so I loved it.
Woody.
It was a bit underwhelming for me, simply because it was slightly watered down. The Maker's Mark did not shine through. Cinnamon was a bit too overpowering. I think he said that there was 2 ounces of the star anise cinnamon syrup, which I think was too much for that cocktail. It overpowered the Maker's Mark.
When we tasted it, I looked at you and everybody looked over. We needed something to stir it up with. All you could taste was the champagne at the top.
Like we had to basically reposition the cocktail.
Agreed.
All right, Nigel. Woo! Wow. Listen, Chi-Town, what an experience. He represented to the fullest. His smile, his energy, his presentation, his stage setting, his actual cocktails. Like, Nigel got a perfect score for me.
I didn't give him a perfect score. I did take a point away again for stage style. Even though he even turned that around.
Listen, you need to add a point, but you owe him a point because you said there was no fall presence. That man grabbed an apple and bit into it.
He
like
did.
+1.
He did.
I'm sorry.
He
like,
did.
Like, I should give him an extra point. I should give him an extra point for that if possible. You know what? Also, I was pleased with the measurements of his cocktail. I can't stop. The measurements were on point.
Yeah.
The fact that he incorporated 1946 to
Yes.
elevate the cocktail, right?
Explained it.
Yeah, he was so knowledgeable. He was a bit outside the box. It was a spin on a classic. He was just
light the fires.
Listen.
Some
Yeah,
presentation.
it was a
I
show.
forgot. You're right.
It was a show.
right.
Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed. Oh man, player from the Houston Layers. Like,
I love the fact owning a vegan bar that was a vegan option.
sure.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
But then he called it eggnog.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which I get it, but because it's a play on eggnog, but I think he could have been a little bit more creative with that.
I think the name should have been more tied to the whole family theme.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I'm gonna tell you what's good about that cocktail.
What was
I
it?
can drink that cold or hot.
True. See, I may have enjoyed it more hot.
A knock was just the consistency. So
Yeah.
what you said was mine looks a little bit different, and as we were watching our bartender make it, obviously he changed the recipe.
Sure.
And when we're doing craft cocktails, we want that consistency so everybody it tastes the same.
You know, even when you felt like, you know what, I'm gonna knock a point off, he was like,
No, give me my point back.
I gotta agree with that, you know?
Yeah, he said, give me my point back.
He also poured label out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm looking at everything from a branding perspective.
Now, the fact that he didn't take the time to name his mocktail was truly disappointing.
It looks like a lack of preparation.
So for me, you know, I mean, if we guys just want to go into, you know, boom, boom, boom.
Oh,
Sure.
we going
I
tallies?
have-
Man, you're sweating.
Yeah, it's real.
This is rough.
So, it was tough, you guys. But it was the general consensus that number one, by far, was Nigel from Chicago. A round of applause for Nigel.
Yes.
And our second place winner goes to Teresa of Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Tracy.
Congratulations.
Chicago and ATL.
We'll see you guys soon.
All right.
That concludes our Final Four round. Congratulations to Chicago and Atlanta for advancing to the champion round. Tune in on November 1st to see who takes home the $5,000 cash prize, presented by Black Restaurant Week. Thanks again to our partner Maker's Mark and all of our community partners for the competition.